Welcome to another deep dive, and this one is going to be a bit unique.
It is, yeah.
We're going to be exploring the work of Shri Suresh Kumar Makam.
Disciple of Sri Raghavendra Rao Sahib.
Right from the start, though, Shri Suresh kind of sets a pretty high bar.
Yeah.
In his book, he includes this disclaimer: cleanse your manas, mind, with practice of sadhana, and then go through literature. Otherwise, reality will be lost upon you.
It's quite a statement.
It is, yeah. Are we even ready for this?
Well, I think that's part of the journey, right? We're here to unpack some of these concepts.
Right, and learn along with the listener.
Wait a sec.
So Sri Suresh emphasizes, one of the first things that struck me as I was reading this is the diversity of spiritual practices out there.
It is vast.
It's like we've got yoga and meditation and chanting mantras and everything in between.
It's like a buffet almost.
It is, yeah, like a spiritual buffet.
What I find fascinating is that he sees this diversity not as a problem, but as a reflection of all the different paths that humans can take to reach the same ultimate goal.
It's like we're all climbing the same mountain, but we're using different routes to get there.
I like that. That's a good analogy.
Yeah, in different gear, too.
Different equipment, different approaches.
Yeah, and speaking of tools and techniques, Sri Suresh makes a key distinction between cultivating our bahaya, which I think is the external.
That's right, the external or physical body.
I hear anthari.
The internal, the inner being.
Yeah, and that's something I think we often focus so much on, physical fitness,
right?
Hitting the gym,
Tracking our steps.
Yeah, and we neglect the inner workout.
Absolutely.
The training of the mind and the spirit.
And he argues that both are essential,
Yeah.
for reaching our full potential.
So how do we go about, unlocking this power, both within our physical bodies and our inner selves?
Well, he takes us on a really fascinating journey through the physical body, and he highlights all these hidden potentials within each system. So it's like he's showing us the power switches within our bones, our lungs, our brain, spine, heart, even our vital organs.
It's like he's saying our bodies are these incredible machines with capabilities that we haven't even tapped into yet.
Right.
And it's just a matter of learning how to turn them on.
Yeah. It reminds me of how some athletes push their bodies to almost superhuman limits.
Right.
Maybe that's part of what he's getting at.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And then from the physical, he takes us even deeper into what he calls the inner powers. Chitta, Buddhi, Mana, Ahankara.
This is where it starts to get really interesting.
Yeah.
This is the good stuff.
Yeah.
Conscious, soul, and thought.
He breaks them all down.
I have to admit, that whole Chitta thing, really caught my attention.
It's a fascinating concept.
It is, because he's describing it as the source of siddhis.
Right.
Which are, supernatural powers.
Yeah, telekinesis, mind reading.
The whole 9 yards. I mean, that's the exciting stuff, right?
But it's important to remember that we're dealing with very advanced concepts here.
Right.
Siddhis may be a potential manifestation of Chitta. They're certainly not the end goal. It's important to keep that in mind.
Point taken.
Yeah.
But I'm still really curious about these inner powers.
Of course.
What about Buddhi, for instance?
So Buddhi refers to the power of intellect. And it's deeply connected to the power of mantras.
Mantras.
Sacred sounds that are believed to hold incredible power.
So is chanting mantras like a workout for your moody?
You could say that. By focusing our intellect and repeating those sacred syllables, we can tap into that deeper potential of Buddhi.
Fascinating. What about mana?
Mana is all about accuracy, precision, and focus. Suresh describes it as the power to lose oneself in repetition, which can lead to a profound awakening of inner power.
I can see how that would apply to things like meditation or even mastering a skill. It's like when you're so absorbed in what you're doing that everything else fades away.
Right, you enter that flow state.
Right, exactly, yeah.
It's about training the mind to achieve that level of single-pointed focus that can unlock hidden reserves of energy and insight.
Makes sense. And then we have Ahankara, which is essentially the ego, right?
Yeah, Ahankara represents the ego, the I that we identify with. And as you can imagine, the ego is kind of a wild card.
It can be.
Powerful force for both good and bad.
Right.
It can drive us to great accomplishments, but also lead us down the path of selfishness and greed.
So how do we manage this ego, this Ahankara?
Well, this is where he introduces the concept of the conscious. He actually outlines several different states of consciousness, each with its own unique qualities and potentials.
Now we're getting into some really deep territory.
We are.
I'm feeling my mind expanding already.
That's a good sign.
I think we need to take a break and explore these different states of consciousness in part 2.
Sounds good.
I can't wait to see where this deep dive takes us next.
Me neither. Picking up where we left off, Shri Suresh's exploration of consciousness.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating.
It is.
It's not just a simple, here's the conscious mind and here's the subconscious.
Right.
He delves into these multiple layers and how they interact with each other.
So where does he start?
He begins with what he calls the general conscious.
Okay.
Which is basically our everyday awareness, the one we're using right now.
Right.
To have this conversation, to experience the world around us.
Make decisions.
Right. All of that.
Okay, so that's the level of consciousness we're most familiar with.
Exactly.
What's next on this consciousness tour?
So from there, he goes into the subconscious state. And this is those times when you're so engrossed in thought that you're almost oblivious to your surroundings.
Right, like when you're lost in a good book.
Yeah.
Or you're working on a project that you're really into and everything else just disappears.
Or driving home from work and you don't even remember the last few miles.
Yeah.
Because your mind was somewhere else.
Right, that's a good example, yeah.
And of course, the subconscious is also the realm of dreams.
Okay.
That kind of hazy symbolic world that our minds create when we're asleep.
Right.
So then we have the unconscious state.
Okay, there's more.
Yes.
Okay.
And he describes this one as a kind of a behind-the-scenes operator that's constantly monitoring our bodily functions without us even knowing it.
So like an autopilot, keeping our hearts beating, our lungs breathing.
All the vital systems running smoothly, even when we're completely zoned out.
Right.
It's a constant presence.
It makes you realize how much is happening within us that we're not even aware of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So then he introduces the superconscious state.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting. He calls it the power of elevating.
Okay.
Because it has the potential to lift us beyond our animalistic nature and connect us with our true spiritual essence.
So this is like tapping into our higher selves, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
He even quotes the words of Jesus Christ here, saying that man is not only flesh and bones, but also spirit.
Right.
And it's the spirit that the superconscious helps us to access.
I love that.
Yeah.
It really highlights that idea that we're so much more than just our physical bodies.
Yeah.
There's this whole other dimension to our being that's just waiting to be explored.
Exactly.
How do we actually access this superconscious state, though?
Well, he suggests that all these other powers that we've been talking about, even those cities stemming from Chitta, actually originate from this superconscious state.
Okay.
It's the ultimate source.
Okay.
The wellspring from which all other powers flow.
So if we can tap into this superconscious, we can potentially unlock all these other powers.
Potentially, yes.
That's quite a concept to wrap your head around.
It is.
And this brings us to another key concept, the power of the soul.
Yes.
This is where things start to feel really profound.
Absolutely.
So he describes the soul as a vast still lake.
Yeah.
And all these other powers that we've been discussing, they're like ripples on its surface.
Yeah. It's a beautiful analogy.
It is. It really is.
It's that all-encompassing force that underpins everything else.
This is giving me chills.
I know. It's powerful stuff.
It's like we're catching a glimpse of something truly infinite.
Right.
Something way bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely.
Can we actually experience the power of the soul while we're still alive?
That's a great question.
Or do we have to wait till after death to connect with that deeper dimension?
Well, Shri Suresh believes that we are, in fact, experiencing the power of the soul all the time, even in our everyday lives.
Really?
And he gives some surprisingly simple examples.
Okay, give me some soul wisdom.
I will.
Okay, so what are some of these everyday examples?
Well, one example is something you've probably experienced yourself, riding a crowded bus.
Okay.
You know how everyone kind of spreads out, even when there are plenty of seats available?
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that. I always just figured people wanted their personal space.
Yeah.
Trying to avoid awkward interactions or something.
That's certainly part of it.
Right.
But Suresh suggests that it might also be a subtle manifestation of the soul's power expressing itself as fairness
Interesting.
A respect for others' boundaries.
Wow, I never thought of it that way.
It's like we're unconsciously driven by this innate sense of consideration for our fellow humans, even in something as simple as choosing a seat on the bus.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
He also talks about the global outpouring of empathy and support that often follows a natural disaster.
Right, like when there's an earthquake or a tsunami on the other side of the world, and people everywhere just feel this urge to help.
Exactly.
Even if they have no direct connection to the area.
Shri Suresh sees this as the soul's power at work, connecting us on this deeper level, prompting us to act with compassion and generosity.
It's like a reminder that beneath all of our differences, there's this fundamental unity that binds us all together.
That's right.
It's kind of amazing to think that just these simple acts of kindness might be like glimpses into this vast power of the soul.
Yeah, it's a powerful thought.
It really is.
And then his final example is the story of Emperor Chandragupta Maurya.
Oh, okay. Remind me who that is again?
Chandragupta Maurya was a powerful emperor who ruled in ancient India. But at the height of his power, he underwent a radical transformation, renounced his throne, all of his worldly possessions, to follow a spiritual path.
Talk about a life change.
Right.
What prompted that?
He was driven by this profound longing to connect with something deeper.
To experience the true power of the soul.
Wow.
He literally walked away from everything, power, wealth, comfort.
Wow.
Dedicated himself to a life of spiritual practice.
Yes, incredible.
And Shri Suresh points out that he even embraced hardship and suffering as part of this journey.
So, like, he understood that true strength came from within.
Yeah.
Not from external circumstances.
That's right.
He was willing to let go of everything to find that inner power.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So as we wrap up this exploration of Shri Suresh's work,
I
think the key message here is that we all have this potential to tap into this incredible power within ourselves.
Right.
It's not about achieving supernatural abilities or escaping from reality. It's about cultivating this deeper awareness of our own inner being and recognizing the interconnectedness of all things.
That's a powerful thought. And it makes you wonder, what else are we capable of?
Exactly.
If we can truly connect with this deeper dimension of ourselves. And that's the question Shri Suresh leaves us with. If even simple acts of kindness can reflect this power of the soul, what other hidden depths might we be capable of exploring?
Wow.
It's an invitation to embark on our own journey of self-discovery.
It really is.
And to see the world and ourselves with fresh eyes.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
I encourage all of our listeners to explore Shri Suresh's work for themselves. See what resonates with them.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us, and keep exploring.